on the page. The second page of the Maamar, at the bottom of the page, last paragraph. And we were talking about that the Elam Maseh B'nai Yisrael Sheyotzim Eretz Mitzrayim means that we are going out of Mitzrayim on our journeys. It's not just that the location that we're leaving from is Mitzrayim, but even more so, the very fact that we were in Mitzrayim, that itself is what causes the masois, it causes the travels, the journeys, the aliyahs, that even the level of aliyah, such a type of aliyah that's called a merkava, which was there before the Yidden went down to Mitzrayim. The others were a merkava before we went down to Mitzrayim. And merkava meaning not just the level of bittul, but merkava is also how high we reached, that we were able to transport and elevate Adam Ha'elyon. So even that level is higher, and we're in a greater level because of the going out of Mitzrayim, the East Noher Abom Nachoshech. So now he's going to go on as far as that was Mitzrayim itself. What about now the journeys, the travels in the Midbar? It's not just Elam Maseh B'nai Yisrael Sheyotzim Eretz Mitzrayim, that Mitzrayim, the Yerida, caused the great Aliyah, the descent into Mitzrayim caused the great Aliyah, but there was more than that. Just like concerning the descent to Mitzrayim, that's for the sake of the elevation that came about from Mitzrayim itself. That Mitzrayim itself now was the reason and the cause for the higher elevation. So too, it's in the journeys of the wilderness of the nation. This is a pasuk lashon. It's for the sake of the ascent and elevation that takes place in the refining of the sparks of the wilderness of the nations itself. In the wilderness of the nation itself, there are two levels. Like explained in Tanya, in Klippus itself, there are two levels. Klippus Noiga, the higher level of Klippum, the Noiga Humloshon Oir. The word Noiga means light. Noiga Misaviv, the pasuk says there's light surrounding it. What pasuk says about this, meaning the fact that there's still light shows sheyesh bakam toiv, that it also has good in it. That is klippus noiga. Klippus noiga is a mixture between the negative and the good. What is the avoid? What we're supposed to do with klippus noiga? To refine it and to elevate it to kedusha, because it has some good. It can be elevated. It's not trapped in klippah. In general, what is klippus noiga in our life? These are permitted things, things that I have permission to use. That you need to raise it up to kedusha. Lower than this is the three klipsat meis that have no good in them whatsoever. The avoid that we have to do with the shalosh klipsat meis is in the way of not elevation. We don't engage with it, but just the opposite. We have to push it away. Like the pasuk says, turn away from bad. Don't have any connection with it. So just like there's in the level of klippus, and in our voida with klippus, there's two levels. So too, there's these two levels in the wilderness of the nation. The area of the wilderness that's close to inhabited places, it's like borderline wilderness, borderline desert. That's klippus noiga. Like klippus noiga is close and borders with kedusha. As opposed to the part of the wilderness that's far away from a settled place, is the level of the three most Talmudic clips. Top of the third page of the Maamar 1894. Now we can understand why in the first journeys, in the earlier journeys, Moshe Rabbeinu and Yisrael themselves were able to subjugate and the klippah and refine the wilderness, and you didn't need the Aron. We spoke about that the Aron only came later, and by the Aron it says, all these things that it says over there about the Aron, how the Aron contributed to getting rid of all negative things that were present in the Midbar. But what was before the Yidden had the Aron? Because before the Yidden had the Aron, you didn't need the Aron. It wasn't so deep into the wilderness. We didn't deal with such a level of klippah where the Aron was so crucial and so vital to be able to accomplish what we needed to accomplish. Because that in these first journeys, in the early journeys, the Yidden were close to where an inhabited place was. Which means that they were only dealing with Klippas Noiga. Therefore, it was able to be refined by Moshe and Yisrael themselves without the need for an Aron that we say, to cause the enemies and the haters to be scattered. But the journeys that they traveled afterwards, they are distant from an inhabited place. The level of Gimel Kipsat Meis, concerning the Gimel Kipsat Meis, it says, the one that leads you, Hashem leads you in the wilderness. A snake, a poisonous type of snake, and a scorpion, and a thirst that there's no water over there. So in that type of place, where it's so completely antithetical to being inhabited, that is indicative of the Shol Shvat Meis. I don't remember if later in this Maamar or in a different Maamar, the Rebbe says that Nachash, Saraf, Akrov, that corresponds. Those three types of wild, poisonous animals correspond to Gimel Kipsat Meis. So therefore, we need to first have the power of Matan Torah. First, the Torah had to be given to be able to subjugate them. And even the giving of the Torah was insufficient. We actually had to take the Torah with us. We also needed the Aron Sheyelech Lefneim, that should travel in front of them. That through the Aron came about that your enemies were scattered and your enemies had to, and your haters had to run away from before you. Until the great ascent that comes about, that occurs in the return after the Avodah, like it says, and when they rest, they say, Shuv Hashem, upon the Ribus Alphas Yisrael, which shows on a very high revelation. So this is what we see, that because they were in such a powerful type of negative situation of Gimel Kipsat Meis, very far from an inhabited place, they needed to have the Aron to go forth to be able to deal with the Gimel Kipsat Meis. So now, the elevation obviously is so much more powerful as well. Just like we said about Mitzrayim, that by going down to Mitzrayim, so now the Yidden attained a much higher level of elevation. The same thing by the Yidden but by going through the Midbar Amim, dealing with the Gimel Kupsat Meis, subjugating them with the Aron, the Yidden reached the Beshuva Yoimar, and the Benucha Yoimar, Shuva of Yisrael, etc., etc. Now, second paragraph on the third page. So now he's going to bring it back to the Yeridas HaNeshama, and with this we're going to answer why it says, one of the questions we had is, flips around, it says Moitza Eyam L'Masa Eyam, and Masa Eyam L'Moitza Eyam. Once it says their goings out to their journeys, next it says their journeys to their goings out. This is going to hint at the avoid of the neshama down here. Again, second paragraph on 1894. In his Barleil was explained previously, just like the descent into Mitzrayim by Yerid al-Midbar Amim, and the descent to the wilderness of the nations. He b'shvil ha'aliyah shenasim Mitzrayim Midbar Amim gufit, for the sake of the ascent that occurs out of Mitzrayim and from the actual wilderness of the nations itself. In other words, they themselves are the cause of the ascent of the Aliyah. So too, it's concerning the descent of the neshama down here below, that it's a descent for the sake of an ascent, of an elevation. It's an elevation, an ascent that occurs and happens from the below itself. That itself contributes and makes the ascent. But this will understand why it says initially that Moshe Rabbeinu transcribed their goings out to their journeys, and afterwards he turns it around, he flips around the expression, and he says, these are Masa'eyam l'moitza'eyam, their journeys to their goings out. So very simply put, goings out is talking about the neshama going out from above. The moitza'eyam u'b'chinas shoyrish makar neshama, their place where they came out from, their source. Moitza is something that comes out from somewhere. The source, the root of somewhere, is the root of the neshama. The neshama the neshama you placed within me is pure. It's even higher than being called pure. And their journeys is the avoid of the berurim down here below. That's the journeys. So you have the neshama comes out from the most highest level, moitza ehem, and then they are journeying down here below, refining this world. And this type of traveling down to this world to refine the sparks, there are two aspects, two components. Initially, there's the idea of their going out to their journeys. It's the idea of the descent of the neshama down here below. It descends from its source, known as Moitza'eyam, where they are going out from, to do their service in the service of refining the sparks, their journeys. And afterwards there's the idea of their journeys to their goings out. That is now the neshama. We said that only through Mitzrayim, only through Midbar Amim, only through the descent down here, does the neshama reach a higher level than it was prior to the descent. So that is the Masa'eyam, L'moitza'eyam, indicates the ascent. It's the ascent of the neshama that's going from below to above. It's rising up from the avoid of refining the sparks, which is their journeys, to their source and their root, which is where they come out from. So now we understand why he flips it around. One is talking about the neshama when it's coming from above to below, and the other is talking about when the neshama is returning from below to above. So he continues in the third paragraph on Actually, any questions?
Recording stopped.
Questions? Third page. This idea of the drawing down and the elevation in the avodah of a yid, mitzvahs in general. It's the difference between Torah and mitzvahs. Torah is about drawing down from above to below. The Torah itself is beyond the worlds. It traveled and it descended, quoting the Alter Rebbe in Tanya, until it became enclosed in matters of this world. Until it became enclosed in matters of this world. To be able to refine the sparks. Now, it doesn't, even though it's refining the sparks of matters of this world, it's still not in such a way that it's really engaging and embedded in this world totally. It's only dealing with matters of this world by ruling about it in halacha and so on. If Reuven says this, Shimon says this, then the halacha will be this and so on. But the inyan mitzvahs, and the idea of mitzvahs is the refining the actual matters of this world. To refine, shehu b'chinas ha'ala it's the idea of the elevation from below to above. So Torah is coming from above to below, and mitzvahs are from below to above. And more specifically, in mitzvahs themselves, there's both levels of the drawing down and the ascent. The mitzvahs tzedakah, the mitzvah of tzedakah that Yerushalmi just calls it mitzvah without any type of description. When the Yerushalmi uses the word mitzvah and not identifying which mitzvah it's talking about tzedakah. Like the Alter Rebbe, Negeras HaKodesh explains the reason, because tzedakah is Hashem's constant mitzvah. The mitzvah that Hashem performs the whole time is tzedakah, by giving us everything we need and more, enlivening the world, giving vitality to the world, creating the world, giving us our chayes, giving us what our needs, our food, etc., etc. So the Eibishter is constantly doing tzedakah. This is his mitzvah. So that's why when the Yerushalmi refers to tzedakah, it just calls it mitzvah, because it's like the super mitzvah that Hashem himself does. So the mitzvah of tzedakah, it's about drawing down from above to below, to draw down hashpa'as, because first of all, in the physical sense, when I give tzedakah, being that whatever I'm giving, whether it's tzedakah begashmius, I'm giving a person food, or tzedakah beruchnius, I'm giving him something, knowledge and Yiddishkeit and whatever. So it's always that I am on a level where I have the food, he doesn't. I have the spiritual knowledge, etc., and he doesn't. So I am being mashpia from a higher place, from a greater place, from a place where I have the possessions, to a place that's a person that doesn't have it. The same thing, it engenders and brings about this idea of, just like you gave just like you enliven the soul of the poor person, so too I will enliven your soul. It engenders Amshachem al-Mailamata as well. The Inyan Tefillah, and the idea of davening is about the ascent from below to above, like it says, Sulam Mutzavar, so the davening is a ladder standing on the ground. And the top of the ladder is reaching the heavens. That's what davening is. That it's going from the earth to the level of heavens. And then the Rebbe brings down that the Frierdiker Rebbe says that having the letter Hey at the end of the word Aretz and Shemayim. Instead of that the ladder was standing on the Aretz, and Rosh Magia Shemayim, but saying Artsa and Shemayim is like a superlative that adds more power and more intensity to each one of them. You say them is even more so, more like the Friedrich Rebbe's diuk. That he's going up from Arza, which is lower than an ordinary level of Eretz. Is higher than ordinary Shemaim. So the extreme Aliyah is much more powerful. We're not just going down from the earth to the heavens, we're going from Arza, the lower level, or the lowest possible level of earth, to the highest level in Shemayim. Well, the mitzvahs of tefillah, hemamshach v'Allah, according to this, that mitzvahs in general, and tzedakah specifically, and davening, are these two things that we were talking about, like the Yerid of the Neshama coming from below to above and then elevating, that it's the mitzvahs and tzedakah is about coming from above to below, and tefillah is from about elevating the below from above. So then, that Torah is an intermediary that's beyond drawing down from above, and it's beyond ascending from below. And it includes both of them. And like we're soon going to say, the three things of Torah, Avodah, and Gmilas Chasadim. Avodah, that's these days, that's the Avodah of davening. That's usually associated with the left line. The Gmilas Chasadim, that's tzedakah, that's mitzvahs, that's associated with the right. Yemin, Mekareves, doing kindness. And Torah is the Kava Emtsoi. And we know throughout Chassidus that the Kava Emtsoi, the center line, is what's involved in connecting and includes both sides and both extremes. So he says, the Rebbe says also in the simple sense, so too, in the simple sense, how Torah is a intermediary and it's beyond both of them and includes both of them. Shema Torah and the Yodim. From Torah we know how we're supposed to do it, how we're supposed to fulfill the mitzvahs, how we're supposed to do the avodah of davening. Amru Razal. For this reason, the Chazal said the Pirkei Avos, Perik Harishon, Perik Shloim, the Mishabazu. The Chazal said in Pirkei Avos, in the first chapter, the Perik, that we are learning this Shabbos, what the Rebbe was that year, that we're learning Perik Aleph from that Shabbos, Matas Masei. Al Gimel Dvarim Ha'olam Ha'omed. On three things the world stands: Al Torah, Al Avodah, Al Gmilas Chasadim. On Torah, on the service, and doing acts of kindness. Shehigdim Torah La Avodah Gmilas Chasadim. Why does he preface and say first Torah, then Avodah Gmilas Chasadim? Why does Torah take precedence? Because it's very practical. Without Torah, we won't know the Avodah and Gmilas Chasadim. To be able to know how to do the service and how to fulfill the Gmilas Chasadim, this is something that we derived and we learn out from in Torah. Since from Torah is derived both lines of drawing down from above to below, which is the avodah of tzedakah and mitzvahs, and the ascent from below to above, the avodah of davening. So beis haifanim sheyeshnam binyan hamasois kanal, which these we say reflect and correspond to the two types of way in the journeys. The journey of the neshama coming from above to below, and then the journey of the neshama rising up with the sparks that it elevated. How they move, and so it's understood. Fourth page of the Maamar, Sha'id Kaidem Hamasois, even prior to the journeys, Kvar Yeshna Inyanat Torah, there's already the idea of Torah beforehand, because Torah is what enables the Zeo Mashkasor B'Tziachas Am Mitzrayim Tavdun Salakim Alahorazeh. That's where it says, when you will take out the nation of Mitzrayim, you will serve Hashem on this mountain. Shakavon the Matan Torah Hoisa, the intention and purpose of Matan Torah was Miyad B'Yitzias Mitzrayim. Immediately when they went out of Mitzrayim, even before their journeys, Shebchinas Hamshocha V'Haloa, that's the journeys in the way of drawing down and elevation. So you had to have, before you could even engage and do all of this, and all the berurim, the Mesa'im, and Masa'im, you first had to preface it. You're going out of Mitzrayim, you need a Torah. Torah is the one that enables you to do everything else. So now he's going to get back to another question that he asked at the beginning of the Maamar. Why does it say, Elam Masab Bnei Yisrael, Biyad Moshe ve'Aaron? What's the point over here of saying that these were the journeys through and by Moshe and Aaron? Second paragraph on the 4th page. This would be understood what it says. These are the journeys of the Bnei Yisrael in the hands of Moshe Aaron specifically. Just like the drawing down the elevation in the service of Hashem. So too there are these two things in the soul of a person. As it's known, every single thing, there is the way it is in world, place, then there's the way in the year, time of the year, or in time in general, and then there's the way it's reflected in a person, because these are like the three main things that the Sefer Yetzirah says. There's Rosh Tevis Oshan, Olam Shana Nefesh. And these interactions of these three things is based the entire Sefer Yetzirah. The idea Moshe and Aaron are called from the 7 shepherds that Am Yisrael had. David HaMelech was considered a shepherd. Yosef HaTzadik was considered a shepherd. Took care of the Yidden. That from them, from Moshe and Aaron, comes down in the nefesh of every single Yid, like it explains in Torah Parashat Moshe Rabbeinu was the escort of the king. Just like by a chasana, you have the chasan's escort and you have the kala's escorts, the unterführer. So there's the chasana, the wedding between the Yidden and Hashem. Hashem is the chasan, we are the kala. So Moshe Rabbeinu was the escort of the Eibishter. He ensured the drawing down from above to below. Aaron HaKohen is the escort of the queen. The Kala, us, Yidden, he helps us out with our ascent from below to above. It's known the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, every single Yid goes through in his life 42 journeys, just like the 42 journeys in the wilderness. Then the Rebbe says, in addition to what the Baal Shem Tov says, that through an entire lifetime we go through 42 journeys. The Rebbe says, which can say that there's also 42 journeys every day. The idea of sleep is like when we're in Egypt. It's constrained, it's limited. Then begins his journeys to go out of Mitzrayim. And the order in the journeys, you go from the easier to the more difficult. The miyad immediately when he gets up from sleep, until even before he washes his hands, and before he even says he thinks into the fact that the King of Kings Hashem is standing over him. Like the Rebbe writes about this meditation, and he writes about it in the Siddur. Then he begins a service of reciting by the Ani. Then he recites Hoidu. And he says 100 brachas daily. Like Chazal say, that a person is obligated to make 100 brachas every day. The idea of 100 brachas indicates the ultimate perfection in avodah, because the 100 shows on perfection and bracha shows on amshacha. Because the drawing down of a bracha is from world to world. When we say Baruch Hashem min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam, it includes all the worlds. Both the hidden worlds are not revealed, the covered world. And also the revealed worlds. Like explained at length in the Maamar that Tzemach Tzedek, and at length in the Maamar that Marash in the Maamar titled that a person is obligated to make 100 brachas daily. All of this is the ultimate perfection of avodah, the 100 brachas daily. So too in every mitzvah that he fulfills. Concerning this, the pasuk is referring when it says, "Now Yisrael." What is Hashem already asking from you? Only to fear Him. What is it of fearing? That's the main thing, the fulfillment of the mitzvahs in actuality. From this pasuk, we also derive an asmachta for the idea of 100 brachas. It says, do not read it but meya, that Hashem asks from you 100 to say 100 brachas daily. So inyan tachsa shleimus b'avodah, the idea of every mitzvah that he fulfills is the ultimate perfection in the avodah. Because even though it's only one mitzvah, but since it's part of Hashem's essence, so the essence, when you grasp part of the essence, you grasp its entirety. Until after doing all this avodah throughout the day, so by night, Nishmasa Oil Lamayl, the Neshama rises above, it She'avas L'chaim, and it draws life, Mechaya Chaim, from the life of all life. The Rebbe concludes with a bracha, Vaidei Maseinu, Yiseinu Meshas Man HaGolus, so our actions and service throughout the duration of the time of Golus, the Chol Yom V'Yom Avid Avidite, every single day, does what it's supposed to do, accomplishes what it's supposed to do. Shemagir b'chol yom l'tachs hashleimus kanal. Every day he reaches the ultimate perfection, like we said before. Boy me'ever l'yarden Yericho, we come across the Yarden of Yericho. B'chinas reach l'koyal Mashiach. Yericho is related to the word sent, that has to do with Mashiach. Like it says about Mashiach, v'aricha b'yiras havayit, that he will make him sent with the awe of Hashem. V'loy v'l'mara einav yishpat v'loy l'mishma oznav yichiach. He will not judge by what his eye sees, and he will not reproach based on what his ear hears. And the Chazal say that he smells, and that's by his power of scent he's able to judge. The Ravid said that they tested Mashiach to know if he's Mashiach by the times of Bar Kochva, that they disputed. Rabbi Kiva thought that Bar Kochva was Mashiach, so they tested Bar Kochva to see if he's Mashiach by seeing if he can smell and judge. So we see how the Reach has to do with Mashiach. That's Yarden Yerechai. Like it's explained in the Sichos of my father-in-law, the details of this idea of Mashiach's scent and how this is the ultimate perfection. Therefore, this type of judgment is only applicable by Mashiach. The Medrash brings down when Shlomo HaMelech wanted to judge by scent, they told him it's not for you. Now the time did not yet come to judge by scent. Now we only need to judge by the vision of his eyes and the hearing of his ears. Because the idea of judging, smelling and judging is the ultimate perfection, top of the last page. Through one action, one speech, and one thought, he tilts the scales of the world for himself and the entire world for the side of merit. Maybe Yeshuva Atzoleh brings salvation. In addition to the fact that we come from across the Yarden to the east, we cross from the eastern side of the Jordan to the western side of the Jordan. And
in this itself of the western side of the Jordan, we make sure to be in Yerushalayim, but Beis Hamikdash, B'Kodesh Kadoshim, Shechina b'Mayrav, and we know the Shechina is in the west. In other words, the ultimate western side of the Jordan. Maamar speedily in our days, Maamar.